Hello everyone, D&D Breakfast Club here. I wanted to invite you to the table today for a very special episode of Insight Check. Normally on this show we talk about everything D&D 5e related. However, today, since this is going to be a celebration for 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be showing you what you can do in 1 year of 3D printing. Now that you're on this side of the table, before I start showcasing all the different miniatures and all the things that I've printed, let's talk about 3D printing in general. There's two different types of 3D printing. You have your FDM printers. They build layers from the ground up, and as they go up, they smush plastic down to make a shape. The second type of printers you have are resin printers. They pull the build plate out of a tub of resin, and it builds as it cures the layers one after the other. There's a few differences between these two processes. FDM printers, the cheaper printers in general, they don't make as high quality as the resin printers do. Resin printers make very high quality, but the resin itself is more expensive and the printers are more expensive. I bought a CR10 Mini. I thought this was going to be big enough for all the projects that I wanted to do. I had a lot of terrain I wanted to print. You know what made me pull the trigger was actually I was seeing some of these minis that people were making. The quality came out really well. I'll show you an example. So here is a character I printed for our ranger. I'm not the best painter, but I think he turned out amazingly well for what he is. I also printed out another one of our characters. And a third character. These came out well enough for me to put on a table and not feel embarrassed. Here's the difference for resin. One of the players bought this mini from Hero Forge. Now all these minis were from Hero Forge. These three were the digital download. You have to pay $10 to get that. And then this one I think was $20 for the resin print. It's $10 more. It does have a little more detail. But here you can see we saved $30 just by having a 3D printer. So yes, you can do minis with the FDM 3D printer. The quality is not as good as resin, but it's good enough for me, and I honestly didn't want it for that. I just wanted to do bigger projects. So let's get to some of those bigger projects. One of the first things I did was I printed out tiles. I wanted a specific type of tile that would lock together because I had this vision of what they could do. The tiles I picked are a file from Printable Scenery, and they do cost money. These are not free sculpts, but this is exactly what I wanted for my game, so I'll show you my tiles. They're different shapes that you can print, so these are all 4x4. I have wooden tiles. I've inserted magnetic locks. I have 2x2 tiles. And I have a lot of these. I'm not going to go over all of them. This is what I wanted for my game, and it worked out amazingly well. So I'll put all those down and show you just how many I've made so far. There's some other parts of this process that I thought were really cool and that I could add the magnetic locks into. So I have some doors, and these came out really well. Door opens or closes, and it magnetically locks. I remixed some stairs. This was out of a Printable Scenery file. I just remixed it into a little stair case that magnetically locks. I 3D printed some pillars that I can use in dungeons, and I can use them as risers to create multi-levels. Let's go ahead and move all this stuff out of the way, and I'll continue showing you the other things that I printed. The next big project that I worked on was cave terrain. I wanted some modular cave terrain that I could use where I could drop it down and make different tunnels and caverns. I actually printed up a bunch and painted and spent a lot of time on a version that I'm not going to use anymore. I'll show them just for the sake of it. There's quite a lot of these pieces. They would go together like this and create these caverns, these tunnels. I have a lot of these pieces, but I'm going to show you what I've done recently, which I much prefer. These are also printable scenery. And you can make large caverns as you go. I much prefer this style. I'll move all the cave terrain over as well. I wanted to 3D print a forest. I wasn't quite sure how to go about it. I found these amazing files on Thingiverse of these different types of trees. Now, I don't want to go and flock everything, which is adding the greenery, the leaves. It gets messy. It's a lot of work. I didn't want to do it, so I found these instead. Move my forest off to the side too. I printed up a bunch of scattered terrain like rocks for the forest or for different areas. For the caves, some stalagmites. I'll probably do a few more of those at some point just to have more variation. I've done a bit of furniture. I have a lot more to do, but here's a start. So tables, chairs, and I also just printed some that were easy to set down with lots of chairs already attached to them. Some Skyrim loot piles or barrels and crates and treasure chests. Need a gold pile in there somewhere. Printed up some bookshelves. I ran an encounter with a library and I realized I had no bookshelves, so I used dice in place of bookshelves. These are a little better. Printed off a few different vehicles. So first I have the wagon. Canvas top comes off. And it's more usable for minis. So you can put minis in it. Printed off a couple boats. I'm not finished with this one yet. I've done some of the painting. I still have more to do. I'm probably not going to attach much. Maybe the main mast and the crow's nest, because that's where minis would sit. But all the strings and all the twine would just get in the way of actually moving things around. I decided I don't want to do that. I haven't put this one together yet. The one thing you'll notice I'm really lacking in is buildings. I haven't actually done many buildings. I've done one main one. This was really fun. The tower. I've printed off some different miniatures. I showed you the player characters, but I've also done some others. The reason I don't print a lot of minis is because the painting's very meticulous, takes a lot of work, and as you can see, I've had my work cut out for me. A planetar I used for an encounter. A beholder I haven't used. A white dragon, adult. Couple nightmares. I've printed some horses. These I particularly like because you can put minis in them. Incubus, a mouse. This one I'm very proud of because for some reason it seems to be one of my better minis that I've done. Some unfinished centaurs. They're smaller than the horses, that doesn't make much sense. Probably will throw them away eventually, I don't know. A paladin that I've never painted. Some other things that I've never painted. Some undead. More undead. A skeleton. People know this one. Purple worm. I was actually very happy with how the purple worm came out, mostly because one of my players painted it. They thought, hey, maybe we'll fight this someday. And then I did have them fight it. Not that long after. They were really excited to fight it, but they were like, this guy's pretty easy. What they didn't know is I also printed another one and painted that one myself. A black dragon. I never painted it, but it's a black dragon. I just primed it in black and left it as it is. I have no idea what this guy is. A minotaur demon thing. Just set him somewhere. And then I've got a bunch of odds and ends stuff, and I've got some stuff that I haven't even primed yet. As all 3D printers will find out, you can print a lot faster than you can paint. That's where I am at right now, so sometimes I have to take a break. I haven't ran my 3D printer non-stop since I got it. And this is what I've done so far. I'll go over some of the few projects though. A cellar door. A dragonborn. Unpainted. I was trying to work out some kind of castle wall system because there's a siege coming up. I didn't finish it in time and I've had to remix a lot of the files, but I'll show you one. This is what I was thinking. They would go together. Even the top comes off. But I never finished it, and I thought it would be pretty cool if I could. And then they would lock together. Probably magnetically, like my other tiles. I've got some cool tokens that I can use for combat, so they are different markers or indicators. Charmed. blinded. Concentration, because we always forget that one when we're playing. Poisoned. Hunter's Mark. And a bunch more that I just haven't had time to paint. And some more stuff that I haven't primed. Skeletons. Another player character because the other guy's old character died. Skeletons and zombies. I'm running out of room here. Skeletons. 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 More tiles. This time I printed out some curved tiles that can make a round area. And more. And more. Some 6x6 wooden tiles that I also haven't finished yet. Got a lot of work to do on these. A measuring tool that I wanted to use on the battlefield. It has feet indicators, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then the final is 60. And that pretty much wraps up my 1 year of 3D printing. To sum it up, 3D printing takes a lot of time. Not only are you going to learn how to use a 3D printer, try to figure out all the different settings, learn how to use the software, learn how to paint. I would say total man hours in all of this is well over 100. And that's probably just the paintings over 100. I'm not the fastest, I've done some different techniques, and I've learned some different things as I've gone. I've had to watch video tutorials to figure out what I'm doing. Total hours in printing is probably 20 or so. If you have that kind of time to dedicate to this hobby, it's a great hobby, it's a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun doing all these different things. I like the modular terrain where I can use it all the time. I've used the dungeon tiles a lot. I've used the tower actually twice. I've used the forest more than I thought I would. I've probably used that 5 or 6 or 7 times, different encounters. Players don't care that they don't have the greenery on them. They just like seeing the forest. I've used the ships more than once. And I've just done most of the furniture recently. I'm going to start using a little more of that. The thing is, with different encounters and rooms in dungeons, I don't like to populate them with much furniture or different things, because it does take away from the imagination. Think about it, when you're in a dungeon, if it's just tiles down on the ground, then you have to imagine, well, what else is in here? Then the DM needs to describe it, and you as a player should help, like, oh, are there tables, are there desks, are there lamps on the wall? You start populating this dungeon in your mind. If I start putting furniture in the room, they're gonna think that's all there is in the room. They're not gonna worry about the details because they see the details. And honestly, you don't want to leave it just with a loot pile here, a bookshelf there. There's probably more in there. There's probably a lot more in there, and you want to help them imagine it too. This is going to wrap it up for this episode of Insight Check, where you can see everything I've done in 3D printing. If you liked it, I encourage you to subscribe. There is much more on this channel. We have different music playlists that you can use for your own home games. They're broken down into different categories like social, taverns, dungeon, intrigue. There's many different playlists. Go ahead and take a look through. Give us a subscribe if you like what you see.